In the Yoga Vasishta, we have stories of self-enquiry. The truth is heard, the truth is understood, the truth is enjoyed, and then we get back on with our normal business. And this is the stage, this latter stage is the one that's being described now, about getting on with our normal business in full realization of the truth. The assumption here is that equanimity has been established. I've often described our situation as being awash in an ocean of notions. And the approach of the Yoga Vasishta is very much tied in with what we believe. And belief is normally expressed in a conceptual sense. And we think of ourselves as thinking beings. But really, we are emotional beings. We are caught up in a sea of emotions. And the concepts and beliefs that we have are often just these emotions dressed up. Religion's a case in point. If you belong to a religion which has holy books, and you believe that your holy books are the Word of God, then how do you feel when somebody defiles your holy book, sets it on fire, for example? Your reaction is probably one of violence or an urge to commit violence. And depending on the sort of person you are, you might just sit on that feeling, or you might go and act it out. This feeling is no different to the feeling of an atheist or somebody, or a more liberal type, who experiences road rage, the phenomenon of road rage. Somebody will do something in the road which maybe seems a bit careless, and you're on the receiving end of it, and suddenly a murderous feeling can take you over. And then of course there's our lusts, our fetishes, our cravings. These are what drive us. Our need for titillation. These are what drive us. We're emotional beings, and very often these emotions are problematical. We might need anger management. We might need some other kind of therapy. We might experience trauma, bereavement. Most of life is actually quite traumatic. There's always a possibility of a horrible thing that can happen to us, or to our loved ones. Life is essentially insecure. These are the feelings that we have to deal with. These are the emotions that we're lost amongst. These are the emotions that we're at the mercy of. This is the situation. And if some of our emotions are harmful to ourselves or to others, then we should seek some kind of professional help. But very often they're not as bad as we think they are. And it's not possible to experience equanimity. It's not possible to experience equanimity if somehow we cannot acknowledge our own emotions. Equanimity is not about putting a lid on our emotions. Equanimity is what happens after we've really looked into our emotions, into what drives us, and we're no longer feeling defeated by them. So this is equanimity. And I think when we talk about notions and beliefs, we should really be thinking about emotions and feelings, because this is our reality. This is the reality that we're engaging with, that we're lost within, and which ultimately we can experience equanimity within, without craving and without rejecting that which is effortlessly and naturally obtained may be enjoyed. In other words, we're no longer cut up with the emotion of craving and the emotion of rejecting. And that's not just things that come to us from outside, but things that come to us from inside as well. One should not get excited or depressed when faced with insignificant or significant objects, just as neither sky nor space is so affected by the diverse objects that exist and grow in it. And this excitement and depression to do with insignificant or significant objects applies to our emotional state. These objects could be part of our psychological makeup. One should worship the self without psychological perversion. And psychological perversion means without getting caught up in these emotional states, or without letting the attention be directed away from itself. The attention is firmly centered in itself. When it's not, this is psychological perversion. When it's caught up with the diverse objects. One should worship the self without psychological perversion, with every object that is obtained purely on account of the coincidence of the time, place and activity, whether they are popularly known as good or as not good. And again, this is looking at our emotional state, our emotional status. There isn't an emotional state which is somehow not good from a spiritual point of view. Everything is part of what is happening, part of the stream of experiencing. So we can't do this splitting ourselves up into bits of us that are okay and bits of us that are not okay, unless you're engaged in the level of mental health, mental and emotional health. That's fair enough. But spiritually, we cannot do this. Spiritually, we have to accept the whole package. We cannot censor any of it. So we accept what is popularly known as good or as not good.